I have promised to make videos about traditional Chinese medicine literature since I started this channel, but I haven't come around to do it. However, ever since I started my talk about the cosmological thoughts from classical Chinese philosophy, I have been thinking, how would I approach this subject? There are huge amounts of medical texts accumulated since ancient time. And there's also a lot of philosophical works that discuss philosophical premises upon which traditional Chinese medical theory and practice are constructed and applied. Like the philosophical framework that laid the foundation for contemporary biomedical theory and practice, traditional Chinese medicine also has its own unique philosophical presumptions about fundamental concepts and theories about the body, the mind, health, illness, as well as what constitutes medical knowledge, as well as how it is applied in medical practice, etc. These are the questions we usually refer as metaphysical questions. I'm Dr. Gao, specialized in classical Chinese philosophy. I make videos about classical Chinese philosophies, poetry, and medical texts. If you like the content of my videos, please click the like button and subscribe my channel. I also offer one-to-one online lessons on these subjects. So if you would like to know more about these subjects, please contact me. Here's my email address. Now, let's go back to the metaphysics of medicine. In order to clarify the metaphysical premises of traditional Chinese medicine, I need to spend a few minutes talk about the metaphysical premises of what we call modern medicine or scientific medicine. Here I would like to recommend a book by Professor James A. Markham from Baylor University, USA. An Introductory Philosophy of Medicine, Humanizing Modern Medicine. It is the best book about the philosophy of biomedicine. It is relatively easy to read and quite comprehensive in outlining the metaphysical frameworks for biomedicine. Unlike many other books about the philosophies of medicine, which almost exclusively focus on the ethical issues in medicine, this book pays much of its attention to the ontological and epistemological issues. I'm not saying that the ethical issues in medicine are not important. They are extremely important. I'm just saying that they are not the only philosophical issues we need to address, especially when we analyze and compare biomedicine with medical practices from cultures other than the Western culture. The ontological and epistemological questions are particularly important when it comes to medical traditions that do not share the same philosophical framework of biomedicine, such as traditional Chinese medicine. Now, for people who are not familiar with the philosophical jargons, let me explain the terms I use here. So, what are metaphysics, ontology, or epistemology? I have to simplify these concepts here. Otherwise, it will take me forever to explain them. If you're interested, you can check out Professor Markham's book or contact me for online lessons on the subject. To tell you the truth, philosophers do not agree on what metaphysics is. We use this term quite loosely, just like we use the term like air. We have our everyday use as the air we breathe, but a physicist would have a quite different view from that of a chemist about what constitutes air. So I'm just going to explain how the term metaphysics is used in everyday philosophical discourse today. I'm also going to limit my opinion on metaphysics related only to medicine. Since the medicine we use in the West is closely related to our assumptions about our biological bodies, So I'm going to use the term biomedicine rather than modern medicine or scientific medicine, which are implicitly biased. There is a whole set of premises for biomedicine. The metaphysics of biomedicine include assumptions about the nature of beings such as our bodies, the entity that cause diseases such as virus, bacteria, and parasites, and the properties of these beings, etc. It is also assumed that our bodies consist of different parts that can be taken apart and put together again, that our bodies are governed by the same set of physical laws governing all mechanical systems like the clock. Here is a quote from Markham's book. Mechanistic monism of the biomedical model is a metaphysical position in which the patient is a collection of parts and the specific functions are the result of a combination of these parts, much like a machine. This mechanistic monist view of human body is widely shared in the biomedical community around the world. And this belief is the foundation of the many medical interventions such as organ transplants and other kinds of surgeries. The Nobel laureate Francis Crick's statement is the most striking expression of this view. You, your joys and your sorrows, your memories and your ambition, your sense of personal identity and free will are in fact no more than the behavior of a vast assembly of nerve cells and their associated molecules. It is rather depressing that all the things we valued so much in our lives are nothing but a bunch of nerve cells and their functions. However, if you are a true scientist, this is what you should believe. But most of us don't. That is why alternative and complementary medical practices are still so popular in the West. There are also the premises about the causal connections between different phenomena, such as diseases and virus, bacteria, and parasites. Such premises are the philosophical foundation for medical research on various clinical interventions. So these kind of claims are part of the metaphysics we call the ontological premises. Now, I also mentioned another philosophical concept, epistemology. Again, we philosophers cannot agree on what it is. Well, to reveal a secret, we don't agree on anything. That is just the nature of philosophy and how philosophy is kept alive. So I'm just going to tell you my own understanding of the term. For me, epistemology is a set of premises we made up before we start talking about knowledge. It is basically a set of premises about how do we know about things, what can and cannot be known to us, what are the connections between what we know and what we want, and how to get what we want from what we know, etc. Since this is also a huge topic when it comes to medicine, I won't get into details of this subject in this video. I'll talk about it in my next video on philosophy of medicine. Today, I'm just going to focus on the ontological premises of medical practice. Now that I have talked about a bit of the ontological premises of biomedicine, I'm going to outline some of the key ontological premises of traditional Chinese medicine. But before I get to that, I need to acknowledge that my comparison of these two different philosophical frameworks is extremely simplified. It basically excludes all the premises that are not comparable between the two medical systems. I shall only mention the ones that are closely related and significant enough that lead to important differences in theorizing and practicing medicine. It is unfortunate I don't have a book about the philosophy of traditional Chinese medicine to recommend to you. I was planning to write one but never get around to do it during my years as an academic. I might do it in the future, but I have done enough research to talk about this subject. I also published a couple of papers with my colleagues, which I listed in the description down below. Now, in the current educational institution of traditional Chinese medicine in China and around the world, many of the philosophical theories about traditional Chinese medicine are taught as medical theories rather than philosophical theories, such as the yin-yang and five-phase theories, etc. This practice leads to many problems and confusions for students of traditional Chinese medicine. For many youngsters growing up with the scientific training from schools, medicine is a science and medical theories are scientific theories supported by scientific research results. However, theories such as yin and yang, five-phase classification, and transformation presented in the classical medical texts are neither based on modern science nor can be tested by modern scientific research. Some of the claims made by these theories can't even be tested by experiment. My opinion is that these theories about yin-yang and five phases are the philosophical framework of traditional Chinese medicine, like the metaphysical view about the human body and the reductionist view about the human body and other beings. The five-phase theory have similar status as the various theory about the causal connection among different phenomena in the Western philosophies, etc. These are the metaphysical presumptions that should not be and cannot be tested by scientific research because they are the premises of modern Western science. Treating these concepts and theories as metaphysical premises for traditional Chinese medicine practice not only help us to clarify all the confusions, but also help us to understand the ways human body is perceived, investigated, and examined, and the rationale behind the diagnostic and therapeutic strategies adopted by traditional Chinese medical practitioners in their clinical practice, as well as the classification systems of herbs and illness, etc. Now, let's look at what sort of ontological presumption assumed by Chinese philosophy about all the phenomena in the world, as well as those about the human body, health, and diseases. It is generally assumed that nothing in this world is permanent. Everything is changing and is made of the concentrating qi, including human body. This qi forms the temporary structure or forms of things, and the constant flow of qi sustains the stability of such form and structure. More importantly, everything is changing in a cyclical pattern. As you can see, these ontological assumptions are drastically different from what we assumed in the Western philosophy. Now, let me explain briefly what qi means. According to the first Chinese dictionary, 说文解字, all discussing articles and explaining characters, qi initially refers to clouds. You can see that in the oracle bone inscription and its later variation in the dictionary. Then it acquires the meaning of breath, the air we breathe, then the weather as in the phrase of 天气 or the air of sky, the season 节气 or the air of seasons. By the time of Zhuangzi, the concept of qi has become the metaphysical term to refer the substance that made up everything, including human body. Here's a quote from Zhuangzi chapter 22. Life follows death, and death is where life starts. Who can tell their path? The life of human being begins with the concentration of qi. When qi gathers, there is life. When qi disperses, there is death. This view about qi was further articulated and integrated into a rather comprehensive metaphysical framework for traditional Chinese medicine in the Han Dynasty text Huainanzi. Here's a quote from Huainanzi. The Xing is the abode of life. Qi is the source of life. Shen regulates life. If one of them does not fulfill the function of its position, all three would be injured. Therefore, if Xing resides where it is not at ease, it will wither away. If qi is used in ways that it is not replenished, it would drain away. If shen is applied inappropriately, it would be blinded. For these three, they should be attentively guarded. Now, I introduce another two key medical concepts, xing and shen. Xing is usually translated as the physical shape, as in the phrase of 物体的形状, or the shape of something. However, xing also refers to phenomena that can be perceived by our sensory faculties, such as color, odor, sound, even expression on a person's face, as in the phrase of 怒形于色. The anger expresses in the face. In the philosophical and medical texts, xing is the signs indicating the medical condition of the internal organs that are impossible to access. It is through these physiological signs detectable by a physician's sensory faculties that provide the critical information for them to assess the condition of a patient and the clinical evidence for them to make clinical judgment regarding diagnosis and therapeutic strategies. This belief is extremely important for traditional Chinese medical practice. When a traditional Chinese medical practitioner examines a patient, he or she is collecting this critical information from the patient's pulse qualities, tongue texture and colors, facial expressions and colors, the way he or she speaks, even the odor from his or her body and breath, as well as questioning the patient's diet, lifestyle, sleeping pattern, emotional states, etc. Now, let's look at the other concept of shen. The original character of shen indicate a religious origin of the concept. As you can see in the bronze inscription from early Zhou dynasty, the right side of the character is a standing person making an offer to a deity. The left side is the character of shi, meaning signs from heaven. However, by the late Zhou dynasty, shen already acquired a metaphysical connotation. It refers to the unpredictable interaction between the yin qi and yang qi, and the infinite dynamic processes resulting from the yin-yang interaction. The commentary of Book of Change, 易系持 states, 阴阳不测之谓神. The unpredictable yin-yang interaction is called shen. Hence, while shen on one hand refers to deity, on the other hand also refers to all manifestations of the infinite interaction of yin-qi and yang-qi, including the cognitive processes in human. In this quote, shen refers to the cognitive processes of human, such as hearing and seeing, as well as thinking and reasoning ability. In most medical texts, shen refers to a patient's cognitive and emotive state. Now, let's look at the last quote again. The xing is the abode of life. Qi is the source of life. Shen regulates life. If one of them does not fulfill the function of its position, all three will be injured. Therefore, if Xing resides where it is not at ease, it would wither away. If qi is used in a way that it is not replenished, it would drain away. If shen is applied inappropriately, it would be blinded. For these three, they should be attentively guarded. This quote basically presents the rationale behind all the therapeutic strategies implemented by a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner. He or she is there to help their patients to make sure that the Xing, Qi, and Shen are regulated in ways that the Xing is at ease, Qi is replenished, and Shen is relaxed so that it can be applied appropriately. This statement also gave us the life advice how we can maintain our health in our lives. That is, make sure your body is always at ease. Stresses and overexerting your body will waste it away. Your energy should be replenished by either exercise or rest, and use your emotive and cognitive energy wisely so that you do not make a bad decision as if your mind is blinded. In 黄帝内经, the most important medical text, the relationship between Xing, Qi, and Shen is clearly articulated in the following two quotes. Now, let me translate them character by character so that you will see how these concepts are used in medical texts. 根于中者，命曰神机；神去者机息。根于外者，命曰气力；气止则化绝。故各有志，各有胜；各有生，各有成。根 means root. 于 means at. 中 means center. 者 is the mark for a stop. 命曰 means called. Since the topic here is about all forms of life, so I translate Shen as yin-yang interaction. Ji means mechanism. Shen again means yin-yang interaction. Qu means gang. Zhe means then. Ji means mechanism. Xi means cease to exist. Gen again means root. Yu means at. Wai means ectoria. Zhe again is the mark for a stop. Ming yue means called. Qi, we can just leave it as it is. Li means established. Again, we'll leave the qi as it is. Zhi means stop. Zhe means then. Hua means transformation. Jue means and. Gu means therefore. Ge means each. You means there is. Zhi means regulate. Ge again means each. You means there is. Sheng means counter. Ge again means each. You means there is. Sheng means gave rise to. Ge again means each. You means there is. Cheng means complete. So the whole paragraph can be translated as, what is rooted at the center is called the mechanism of yin-yang interaction. When yin-yang interaction is gone, the mechanism of life ceases to exist. What is rooted in the exterior is called the establishment of qi. And when the qi stops, transformation will come to an end. Therefore, for each kind of qi, there is the qi that regulates it, the qi that counters it, the qi that gave rise to it, and the qi that completes it. So it is quite clear that the qi is extremely important in maintaining health. In my interview with Dr. Rui, which I'll post soon, he explained that his main goal in his treatment is to regulate the flow of qi. The harmonious qi flow is the aim of all his treatment. The second quote explains the mechanism of how life arises. It is the qi flow that creates all form of life. 帝曰：气死而生化，气散而有形，气不而翻育，气中而相变，气至一也。帝 refers to the yellow emperor. 曰 means side. We'll just leave the qi as it is. 始 means start. 生 means life. 化 means transformation. 气 again. 散 means differentiate. 而 means end. 有 means emerge. 形, as I mentioned earlier, is the phenomenon that can be detected by our sensory faculties. 气 again. 不 means spread out. 而 means end. 翻育 means revive and thrive. 气 again. 中 means end. 而 means end. Xiang is a very interesting character. It started as a picture of an elephant in the oracle bone inscription and the bronze inscription, as you can see in the first two scripts. Elephants were quite common in the southern part of China during the early days of Chinese civilization. That explains this rather accurate depiction of elephant in early scripts. But the character later acquired other meanings such as signs from heaven or other expressions of invisible forces such as 天象, signs from the heaven. Here it is used to refer all the phenomenon or things. 变 is often translated as change, but it has a different meaning in the classical text. It refers to the disappearance or disintegration of a thing or a form. A Song Dynasty scholar official made an interesting comment about the two characters of 变 and 化 in his essay, 易解, or an interpretation of the Book of Change. 自有而无谓之变，自无而有谓之化。The change from existence to nothingness is called 变. The change from nothingness to existence is called 化. Qi means day, 至 means arrive, 一 means the same, 也 is the mark for the end of a sentence. So this paragraph can be translated as, the yellow emperor said, when qi starts flowing, there will be life and transformation. When qi differentiates into different forms, 形 emerges. When qi spreads out, all life revive and thrive. When qi ends, the form of things dissolves. They arrive in the same way. From the last two quotes, you might also realize that the classical Chinese philosophy also holds the view that nothing is permanent. Everything changes. Here's a quote from Dao De Jing. When nature's gate opens and closes, are you able to remain the female? Tao gave rise to things without owning them. It acts for them without mothering them. It raised them without lording over them. The gate of nature is probably a metaphorical reference to the seasonal changes during the spring and autumn. The spring is the time when heavenly gate opens and brings life to the world, while the autumn is the time when the heavenly gate closes and takes away life from all the living creatures such as insects and plants. The imagery of the opening and closing of the heavenly gate presents a vivid picture of the life-death cycle. It also assumes that this cycle of life consists of a sequence of different stages. In the early days, philosophers debate about what is included in the sequence of cyclical pattern. But by the early Han Dynasty, the yin-yang and five-phase schools become the dominant school on metaphysics and were integrated into philosophical texts such as 管子, 吕氏春秋, Huainanzi, and 黄帝内经 a few hundred years later. The following is two quotes from 黄帝内经explain the dynamical cycles. The five-phase cycle and the yin-yang movements are the Tao of heaven and earth, the fundamental principles of the 10,000 things, the parent of all changes and transformations, the origin of life and death, the storehouse of all physical and cognitive processes. How could one not understand them? Now, let me translate the following passage from 黄帝内经 because it's quite important. So I'm going to translate it character by character. 出入肺者神机化灭，升降息者气力孤微，故非出入者无以生长壮老矣。非升降者无以生长化收长。出 means expiration, 入 means inspiration, 废 means stop, 者 means then, 神机 means the mechanism of yin-yang interaction, 化 means transformation, 灭 means cease, 升 means upwards movement, 降 means downwards movement, 息 means stop. We'll leave the qi as it is. Li means establishment. Qi li refers to the structure established by the flow of qi. Gu means standing alone. Wei means at risk. Gu wei means at risk of collapse. Gu means therefore. Fei means without. Chu means expiration. Ru means inspiration. 者 means then. Wu means there won't be. 生 means birth. 长 means growth. 壮 means mature. 老 means aging. 已 means the end. Here it refers to death. So 生长壮老已 are the 5 phases of the life-death cycle. 非 again means without. 升 means upwards movement. 降 means downwards movement. 者 means then. 无以 means there won't be. 生 again means birth. 长 means growth. 化 means transform. 收 means harvest. 长 means store. So the whole paragraph can be translated as soon as expiration and inspiration stop, all mechanism of yin-yang interaction and transformation cease. As soon as upwards and downwards movement cease, all the established qi, all the life forms, are at risk of collapse. Therefore, without expiration or inspiration, there won't be birth, growth, maturity, aging, and death. Without upwards and downwards movements, there won't be birth, growth, transformation, harvesting, and storage. So, in both philosophical and medical texts, the forms of life are regarded as temporary concentration of qi. The flow of qi or inspiration or expiration in human and other animals maintains the form of life. When the qi flow stops, life form collapses and life ends. This understanding about the human body also leads to a very different understanding of illness or disease. A disease is no longer construed as an invasion of alien agents such as virus, bacteria, or parasites, or breaking down of body parts, but as breaking down of the synchrony between the body's rhythm and the nature rhythm that interrupts the flow of qi in the body. This rhythm is the nature cycle we experience in the circadian and seasonal cycles. This is clearly articulated in the Yellow Emperor's classic of internal medicine. This is exactly what is advocated in the classics like 吕氏春秋 and Huainanzi. Here's a link to one of my videos explaining a similar view from 吕氏春秋. If you watched my videos about the musical cosmos of ancient China, you will see the same reasoning behind the medical text and the philosophical text of 吕氏春秋. This view of human health as being in synchrony with nature rhythm is also the foundation of the lifestyle recommendation made in the medical text, with the same rationale that human activity and behaviors should be synchronized with the nature rhythm and the dynamics of this nature rhythm. Here is another quote from 黄帝內經, or the Yellow Emperor's classic of internal medicine. The 3 months of spring are the time for sprouting and growing. Heaven and earth renew themselves and the 10,000 things thrive. A person should sleep late and get up early, takes large steps in the courtyard, loses his hair and relaxes his body so that his mind will be expanded. One should nurture life and not kill them, to give but not take, to reward but not punish. Such actions resonate with the qi of the spring and are in accordance with the Tao of nurturing life. Going against them injures the liver system and leads to coldness in the following summer, and will have little to support the growth during the summer. It is quite clear, even from my oversimplified comparison of the metaphysical premises of biomedicine and traditional Chinese medicine, that the 2 systems have drastically different presumptions about the nature of human body, health, illness, or diseases. These different metaphysical premises lead to very different ways of theorizing and practicing medicine. I'm aware that biomedicine enjoys huge advantages offered by the achievement of modern science and technology over traditional Chinese medicine. However, I don't think we should reject traditional Chinese medicine simply because it is not based on modern scientific research results, and its effectiveness should not be tested in the same way we test biomedical interventions. Instead, it might be more helpful for us to first get a better understanding of the traditional Chinese medicine and take advantage of the benefit it offers us. I'm Dr. Gao, specialized in classical Chinese philosophy. I make videos about classical Chinese philosophies, poetry, and medical literature. If you like the content of my video, please click the like button and subscribe my channel. I also offer one-to-one online lessons on these subjects. So if you would like to study more about these subjects, please contact me. Here's my email address. Thanks for watching my video. I'll see you next time.